Hey everyone, this is Lynn Wilson at Lynn Wilson Originals, and today I am going to do step one of making over a cheap little ceramic jug lamp. This is from the thrift store, about $3, and it's just something I wanted to play with. So let me pull this down a little bit so you can see. This obviously it's very slick surface, and so my first step is going to be applying Slick Stick. This is Slick Stick from Dixie Belle, and it is one of their primers. And generally you would use Slick Stick on anything like glass, laminate, plastic, metal. So sometimes people wonder, well, when do I use Slick Stick and when do I use Boss? Boss is to prevent bleed through. So a lot of those surfaces that I just mentioned are not going to have bleed through, like a factory finish, but they will need some help having you to get the paint to adhere. So that's when you use Slick Stick. Another time would be like French provincial furniture. It has that kind of plasticky feel. So I'm going to show you what I like to do with Slick Stick. As you can see, it is super white. And now Dixie Belle has come out with Boss in gray, which is very helpful when you're doing darker colors, but they haven't yet come out with Slick Stick in gray, maybe someday. So I am going to actually add a little bit of caviar to my Slick Stick, so I get a color that is kind of equivalent to, if you're familiar with Dixie Belle, like driftwood. So I'm going to add a little Slick Stick, and I spent probably 20 minutes trying to get the lid off. It definitely sticks, so the lid will stick to it if you don't wipe it off. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of caviar because, actually, what is this? This is coffee bean. Well, I was going to add caviar, but I'll do coffee bean. I don't want to really add too much because I don't want to interfere with any of the properties of Slick Stick. But I just want to tone down that white, and you could add, you know, any color that you're going to paint with, but gray is kind of a good color, universal color for using underneath a variety. You know, you could use it under pinks. It's just going to make it so that the white is not so difficult to cover up. If you can see the difference, this is the Slick Stick, and this is what I've turned it into. So you'll definitely want to clean your surface as always. And I don't use one of my best brushes for Slick Stick. This is just kind of an older one that I had. And when you're applying Slick Stick, it is important that you don't have a lot of brush strokes, because your final finish is only going to be as good as the paint underneath, or the smoothness of the paint underneath. So I try to do really long, smooth strokes. And I don't mist my brush. I don't use water. If I see that I have a lot of brush strokes, what I'll do is mist my brush, versus like with chalk paint, sometimes you would mist the surface. But here, even if I'm playing, you know, kind of back and forth here, I want to end with a long brush stroke. So a Slick Stick, you apply one coat, let it dry, and probably a couple of hours, and then you can apply your second coat. But if I'm not in a hurry, I wait at least 4 hours, or ideally overnight, because I don't want to be pulling up the Slick Stick. I really want to give it a chance to get hard and stick to my furniture. So, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll paint in one direction on the first coat and another direction on the second coat. And you probably don't want to wash your brush directly in your sink. It is called slick stick because it sticks, and you know, with your pipes and all, it's probably not a good idea. I never wash mine directly in the sink. I usually take it into a bucket, rinse as much as I can out in a bucket, and then take it to my sink. And then I make sure I run lots of soap and water down the drain after I've cleaned my brush. So about the only time I could see you're wanting to use slick stick and boss would be in the case where you have, say, like a French provincial dresser and some of the laminate has chipped off or the factory finish is chipped off, because, you know, the raw wood could potentially bleed through. And the other time would be, you know, boss also, oops, I got a little bit up here, I gotta wipe that off. Boss also blocks odors. So, you know, if you had a piece that was kind of stinky but slick, you might use slick stick on the outside and then boss on the inside. And I always stir my slick stick. I shake my paint, but like all my primers, I tend to stir. It's especially true with boss because a lot of the ingredients that make boss work can settle to the bottom. Now with boss, I really try to avoid sanding it between coats. Slick stick, you can sand it, it's a little bit tougher. You know, if you've got some brush strokes in there. So I'm going to let this dry. If you have any questions about slick stick or boss or priming your piece, please feel free to put them in the comments and I'll be sure to try to help. Thanks for joining me. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.